Good morning. Okay, this is a very good opportunity, although very new to me. I'm happy to see you all. It's good to be in Canada. It's nice and white out there. I really thank God over and over that He turned up the heater for us now in this time, so it's not too cold. I like it warm. So by way of introduction, to if there is anyone that doesn't know a little bit about my background, or we lived here in Canada, it's about almost 17 years ago when we moved away from here. So Edward and I have 7 children. We had 6 children born here in Canada. We moved to Belize when our baby was almost 3 months old. We packed them all up in our Suburban and drove down all the way to Belize. I brought the one that was youngest then, I brought with me here, so I have one of my daughters here. The rest of the family's at home. We came here for Christmas with my family, my dad and my brothers and sisters. And I told Irwin that I was coming, and he right away picked me up on that. And we adopted a little one in Belize. She's almost 7. She'll be turning 7 in January. So she's brought a lot of drama and a lot of sunshine to our lives. So our youngest 2 now are like almost 10 years apart in age. So she has to grow up with adults in the house, and that is different than having a long row of little ones. It has a very unique challenge. She, from a very young age, knew exactly whose phone everyone's phone was. Whenever there was a phone lying around, she would pick it up and run to the person who owns the phone. Better than some of us did. I want to speak on children and parenting. We have our oldest 3 are married, Rhonda and Jaylene and Joshua. We have the others are at home yet. So like I said, our youngest is 7 now, and or almost 7. We have 2 grandchildren, 1 plus 1 in heaven, who died just before it was born. We have a new one, a little one on the way now. Rhonda and Ronnie are expecting a new baby, which we're very excited for. They were the ones that had to say bye to the one little one. We have gone through a lot of things, but I know each of you has gone through a lot of stuff too. I really have enjoyed throughout to learn from God, and I love the Lord. I enjoy sitting at the feet of Jesus and learning from Him. So through time, so many times with a child, I would have no idea how to do this and how to work this out. And so I learned a lot to depend on Jesus, that He would give wisdom. And He showed me that if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God. He gives to everyone liberally. And I also had to believe that when you pray, believe that you will get what you pray for. So if you ask for wisdom, then also expect wisdom. Don't just keep on thinking you don't have wisdom. I want to share some of what I have learned and observed from others also. Of course, there's very little really we can say in a short time like this, but my aim this morning would be to encourage parenting, to bless or to inspire, especially families with children, little ones, also youth, teenagers, or also want to really encourage the young people that want to get married and have children someday. Don't hang your ears down because you don't have children. You will someday have children. And it's a very good thing. To raise a child, I believe, is of all the callings and all the missions and ministries that you have, all the giftings you have and everything, I believe raising a child is the most noble calling anyone can have on this earth. Because there are some verses that can confirm that. Children are very close to the heart of the Father. Jesus said in Mark 10, verse 14, "Suffer the little children to come unto me, and forbid them not, for of such is the kingdom of heaven," or the kingdom of God. That is one verse that says it clearly that the kingdom of God is made up of little children. So be encouraged. I love to see little ones. I'm sorry that I can't see them here. I guess you have them out there somewhere. That's fine. That's understandable. But children bring such delight to life. Often not. There are definitely many times where all the delight is lost and we don't know where it went. But a couple of delightful things in our home. I will tell you when Zelia, our youngest, was a little bit smaller, Karina and Brienne were asking her name is Zelia. She was asking Zelia math questions to teach a little 4-year-old. Everyone's eager to teach her everything. And Karina asked her, if Brienne ate 3 apples and Karina ate 1, how many apples did they eat? Zelia immediately said, I want Karina to have more. Another time, Zelia was doing her prayer a couple of years back already. Her prayer at breakfast time said, "Thank you, Daddy, for this food, and bless it to our neighbors." Okay, there's a lot of joy in raising children, but there's also a lot of sober times. There's a lot of times where we just have no idea. A lot of times where it doesn't work. It doesn't work what we thought would work. But just be encouraged. There is a lot of wisdom parents can share with each other, and God has a lot of direction and wisdom to give in a time specifically for that time when we need it. It is very important to God that we share His heart to the next generation. When you raise a child, you raise a nation. If what Moses did back in the day, taking the children of Israel through the desert and to Canaan, he did a great thing by leading the children of Israel. If you raise a child, you raise a nation, because your child will grow up and have children, and they will have children, so they become a nation. You will never get to see much of that nation, but it is nevertheless true. So how big a difference is it if a child is left to himself and does not learn how life works at a young age, and they grow up and have a wife here and there, or a partner here and there, and they have a child here and there, and the children are basically left on their own. And then they grow up and have children. Can you imagine what kind of a nation that becomes? What if you raise a child in the fear of the Lord, and you teach them about God, and you teach them about His heart and His ways? You show them this is how we do it. This is how we go to the Lord, and this is how we seek answers from Him. This is the purpose of life, and this is what comes after life. This is what happens when we do wrong, and this is what happens when we do right. And that child grows up pure and free and happy. That child gets married and has children. And it teaches that child how to get to know God. And on, that becomes a nation. How vastly different is this outcome from this outcome? Is it any wonder that being a parent is a noble calling? It doesn't go only to this child that you are raising. It can go, every one of us expects for it not to be very many years until Jesus will come back, but otherwise it will become to thousands of people. We have no idea how many. Abraham didn't have many children, but there was a lot of people that came after. It is a very, very huge privilege and responsibility. What shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? And we can put child in there. What shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own child? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his child? What things in your life are more important than bringing your child to Christ and raising it up in the Lord. So I just want to encourage you in that what you're doing, maybe especially moms at home day after day with a child or with children, but also the dads who come home to that every evening. It is a mission field that is not noticed normally by the public, or that is not necessarily admired or spoken a lot of, but it is the greatest calling. So through time, I have seen a lot of sadness in families. Many marriages don't. Why do so many marriages not work? Why do so many young men and women don't want to live anymore or feel like committing suicide? Why do so many youth not get married? Why do they just stay alone? Why are so many youth so dreadfully depressed or suicidal? Those are questions I ask sometimes. And then I dig into it, like Irvin says. Often we have talked together about why is this? Where does it come from? And for me, I then go to preventing that from happening. I go to the children then. I feel like in the young people, you can help them. Like, how do we raise children so they will not end up there? I'm very, very thankful for those people who are now taking care of those adults that are in this situation. But today I want to focus a little more on how can we keep a child from depression when they grow up, or from throwing their life away, or from living a rebellious or unsatisfied life. What can we do? So now, today, we will talk a bit about parenting and about children. How do we raise our little ones? Is it any wonder that training a child in the fear and wisdom of the Lord is of utmost importance when we look at how vastly different one life can turn out from another? Our main goal in training our children is to prepare them for their future. So we don't have children just because we got married. We have children because God has a purpose and a plan for this child, and our purpose for raising this child, or our goal as we raise a child, is for the child to grow up healthy, not for us to have fun or to not have fun. For the child's future on earth, to get along or to know how life works on earth, but most important, future in eternity. And with that, we bring ultimate glory to our King of Kings, the Lord Jesus. So choices that we make for our children, from before they are born to through their teen years, when they leave home and go have their own homes. Choices that we make for our children should always be what we really believe are best for the child long term. So choices we make, like where do we live, or where do we send a child to school, or what friends can a child be with, in what people's homes do you allow your child to be, what toys do you buy for your child, or whom do you allow to influence your child, to speak into your child? Who are the adults in your child's life? What freedoms do you give your child? Freedom of choice. All of these, we always want to keep in mind that it's for the child's best. Often we forget the needs of the child. We just think about our own needs. Okay, well, I enjoy living in Hawaii or wherever, but is that best for our child long term? Or I want to work here, so I have to live here. So children, just suck it up and grow up. Or do we really think about what's best for our child? Am I here for the sake of the child's future? For the sake of the child's future long term, not just now, not just what the child wants now, but what I see is best for the child long term. I believe that a child growing up, a healthy child, or a child growing up healthy, whichever way the word should be placed, a child needs security of boundaries. There need to be boundaries for a child to grow up healthy. It needs the joy. It needs to learn the joy of serving others. And it needs to learn the responsibility of consequences for the choices they make. A child must learn to clean up their own mess. That means even relationship messes, not only spilled milk in the house. Boundaries. How do you create boundaries for a child then? Because I believe it is, if a child does not learn boundaries at a young age, they will learn them later, but it will be much harder. And it will be harder. Part of making boundaries for a child is that they will experience pain. They will experience pain in one way or another if they overstep the boundaries. So a boundary can be different things. But there's a verse in Proverbs that probably most of us know, that said, Proverbs 29:15, the rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. So the rod, we can say, is the same as pain. What it means is pain, and reproof, give wisdom to a child. I have to be very careful with how I bring this across. I could speak on this a good while, but and I will take some time. I believe every child grows up healthy if it experiences pain for bad choices. But that pain must be done very carefully in the fear of the Lord, and with prayer and with love. Often pain comes to the child by itself, or like if it touches a hot oven, it hurts, or anything. If they chop themselves with a machete, it hurts because of what they did, right? So that pain, I don't have to administer any pain, right? But other times, a child will do stuff that not immediate pain comes unless I will purposely administer the pain or inflict pain for the good of the child. Again, it is only for the good of the child. It is never because I want to pay him back for what he did. It is never taking revenge or controlling the child or doing it in anger. That is abuse. And abusing a child is wrong, very wrong. A child should never be abused. But so when I'm speaking about pain, that is in many different ways. It also goes together with this verse that says in Romans 5 verse 3, it says, and not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience. So we adults experience pain. We experience tribulations often usually that we don't purposely invite, or that we don't want to go through. A lot of our tribulations still come. It can be this would also be as in consequences. If I do not treat a neighbor honorably, my relationship with him is messed up. Maybe he's gonna do stuff to me or my stuff because of what I have done, because I have not been friendly or honorable to. Those are consequences that come, and I can experience pain in that way. That's just another example. Like there's a lot of different kinds of pain. But what I want to talk about with a child especially, tribulation worketh patience. So when hard times come, they grow us. And so it does with a child. If a child has to do some things that are difficult or hard sometimes, it grows them. It makes a more mature person out of them. If a child left to himself, the rest of the verse says, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. That is the other side. If we allow a child to do basically what they want, and we refrain from pain, we try to always keep away the pain, just allow them to have as much good time as possible, that will become harder and harder with a child. And it is not in any way a fun thing to see a child hurt. It never is. We never want a child to hurt, and yet under God's umbrella or of His blessing, a child can never grow up healthy if there is not pain for bad choices or bad behavior. And all pain must be administered to a child cautiously and in the fear of the Lord, with prayer and with love. And it must always go together with nurture and admonition, with reproof, as it says in Proverbs, with talking to the child, explaining to the child how life works. Talk to the child, have them sit on your lap, or have them, or walk with them, or take time with them, showing them how life works. Why do we do what we do? This is wrong because, why is it wrong? And we teach you to do what is right. Why? Because whatever purpose there is, first of all, because it's the right thing to do. But there's also a lot of other explaining and talking about. So that is the nurture and admonition that goes with pain. And that may be consequences or pain that you purposely administer so that the child will learn, or they may be consequences that they face because of choices that they made that just come without you doing it, putting it on them. But that is where the important thing is, that you talk with a child and let them know how things work, how life works. Because if they grow up, they will face harder challenges. A little story from our family. I have written down a lot of things from our little one when they were little, cute sayings that they had or things they did. When our son, when he was like 3 or 4 years old, he got into trouble with one of his little sisters, and I don't remember what it was, but I took them to their room, and I couldn't figure out, I had no idea what I would do now, but something had to be done because they needed to learn something. And so I walked out and to first pray and think it through, because while my blood pressure is high, is not a time to train a child, okay? So I have to step back, because the problem won't go away just from me taking a little bit of time. I step back a little and I pray. So in this situation, I walked into the other room while they were there, and I just overheard them talking, and I heard my little girl say to ask my son, "What's Mom doing?" And my son, in all his wisdom of 3 or 4 years old, he said, "She's talking to God a little." So he knew already that this is serious. And so, yeah, I think they were pretty teachable by that time. And another one was when our little girl, I had to train her that telling a lie does not work, it hurts, and that will be that way always. I explained to her first, took a lot of time to explain to her how when we administer pain, that is to take away the bad. So the lie and the hurt that it did to you will fly out the window when you feel pain. It's going to go far, far away, and it's not going to make you feel dirty and messed up anymore. So in the middle of the pain, she calls out and says, "Mom, it's far away already." So I hope that she will always remember that. And some of the pain that children experience, or not just pain, this is maybe a little bit in a different alley. What Irvin talked about, how it was 40 years ago, I know a little bit about 40 years ago, but I'm not his age, just saying. Things were different then, and I know that nowadays we often want things better for our children than we had when we grew up, and I think all of you children already have it very good, and you did, and so did I, and so did Irvin. I am sure of that. I am very happy that he grew up in a big family, because that's what shaped him. And I did too. I have 11 brothers and sisters, and I'm just proud of it. One of my sisters is in heaven. All right, she died when she was 6, and I was 1 year old. Apparently, that's what they say. I grew up in a big family, and now thinking back, or noticing and observing and learning things, growing up in a family, just saying, growing up in a large family is a very positive thing. It's a very good thing. Not that I pretend to know it all, because I grew up in a big family, but I know that I had to learn a lot of stuff because we were a lot of us. And I believe I'm not saying how many children you should have. I'm just saying if when children are small, it doesn't look quite as appealing sometimes because they have a lot of learning to do. It looks rough. It is hard sometimes. There is a lot of responsibility, and so often it feels like the child has not learned anything after all, what we thought that they had. But when they grow up, and if parents take time and they make parenting their priority, raising the children is priority. Doing what is best for the child in the long run is priority. Under God's blessing, under His umbrella, under what He leads. Then children can grow up very, very healthy. It is a plus. I don't mean that just because they're a large family that they will turn out good, because parents need to be godly. They need to fear the Lord, and they need to go to God for advice and bring their children up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. It's not just because they are a lot of people that they will grow up healthy and well. But in a large family, there is a lot of this going on where the consequences come, or where they have to do hard things. Having to do hard things is not bad for a child. Working in the garden while it is very sweaty and hot is not bad for a child. Washing the car after dark, and after they thought that they had done all their work, and now all of a sudden they have to do another job, that is not bad for a child. Just enjoy it, youth. Even for you. Getting up early in the morning at 5:30 in the morning to milk a cow before he has to be at work at 6 o'clock is not bad for a child. Yeah, see? Now I know that it's true what I'm saying. Having to go without a meal all of a sudden because they cheated is not bad for a child. Having to walk home from school because they were irresponsible is not bad for a child. Unless it is so cold that they'd freeze to death, then it would be bad. I'm just saying, don't avoid pain at all costs for a child. Pain as in, I mean consequences, like to teach responsibility. I hope I'm getting across what I mean. Because it is for the good of the child. This is all aimed to raise responsible and happy children who will be free, who will be clean and pure, who will be strong, and who will love the Lord above all, and who will be ready to sacrifice their own comforts for the sake of the gospel or for the sake of the Lord, because they will learn not to just live for themselves. A child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. If a child can basically do what they want, and we try as much as we can never to let them experience negative consequences or do anything hard, they will become more and more self-centered. A child will become more and more self-centered and less fulfilled because they are focusing only on themselves. And then they will need to look farther and deeper for what will satisfy them, for fun, for something that will make them feel as good as they had hoped it would, but it never does. It doesn't satisfy them because God is the only one who gives true fulfillment. So a self-centered child will never find what they're looking for. And because of that, because they are looking for it in all the different and wrong areas, that just brings them down and destroys them, they will have opened a door wide for depression. And that, I believe, is and eventually suicide. I believe that much of the depression that is around in our youth or young people nowadays comes because parents have thought that they wanted to make life easier for their children than it was for them when they grew up. And so with trying to make it easy, they avoid the consequences or the responsibilities that come with life, or the teaching them from a young age how decisions work. And then they will become depressed because they cannot find what they're looking for, because they're too self-focused. And if a child will learn to from a young age to, life isn't all about me. It's not all about how I feel. It's not all about what I want. But rather, I want to help others. I want the world to be blessed through me. I want Jesus to be honored. I want him to be great. And I thank him, also recognizing what other people have done for me. A self-centered child doesn't recognize that other people have made life good for him. And if a child will learn that that you have contributed to me being where I am, it is your honor that I have what I have. It is because of you that I can do what I can do. That puts gratefulness in the heart of a child, and gratefulness and serving and thinking of others is the antidote for depression. I believe that's one of them. I'm not saying that it's all inclusive, but to avoid, so to help a child, to prevent a child from going into depression when they grow up, help them to be thankful, to look out to other people, to see farther than themselves, and to learn to do the right thing, but also to find out what does it feel to just feel good all over inside for doing something for somebody else, for doing something that wasn't your job and you're not getting paid for it. Just doing something because you want to do something else, something you wouldn't have had to do, a good thing. That's where the intrinsic reward comes in. And that is the opposite from being self-centered and opening the door to depression. It is one of them. Parents who have youth, we have youth. We have taken several children through youth already, and we certainly don't know how to do it, but we have learned a lot through it, and we have reaped so many rewards. We have seen it is such a blessing to see children choose God, to choose Jesus, and to respect and honor us as parents. So just an encouragement to you, parents, respect and honor your youth in the home as adults. Listen to them. Take a lot of time for them. Answer their questions. Or let them know you don't know the answer, but will seek God with them. Assure them over and over that your choices for them are always with their best in mind. But don't set them on the throne of your home. Don't put your youth higher than you, in the sense that what they say is more important than the parents, because that's not how God planned it. It's not in the blessing of God in that way, because a youth will never be fulfilled there. They will not have the wisdom. They will not find fulfillment if they are the boss in the home, if everything revolves around them. Don't set them on the throne of your home, not because they are of less value than you as a parent, but because being in the place God designed for children and parents, that is being in the blessing of our Heavenly Father, and then it works. Show them how to be responsible for their own actions. Allow them to make choices, but also expect them to clean up their own messes. That's how they learn. Show them how to serve and give happily with no other reward than an intrinsic reward, an inside reward. Teach them, I do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Shepherd your teens through the turbulence of youth. They need you. And choosing what is best for them long term may cause temporary stormy weather, but love them through it. It's worth it. Also, a note on what I wanted to touch on sexual purity for children. How do you raise a child so that they can stay pure and grow up free from sexual addictions. It is possible. It is possible. It works. But you need to keep your priorities in the right order, and that is God first, and your parenting, or do that correctly in a row. Seek God, but it is possible. One of the bottom lines, I believe, is talk to the child from a very young age about their body and about your body. Tell them how beautiful and precious they are, how God made them, how you value them, and God values every square inch of their body is beautiful, is precious. And we wrap up our bodies like a Christmas present until the wedding day, until they are married, and then they can unwrap it and enjoy each other. Teach that from a very young age and answer their questions. When they ask you questions about sex or about marriage or about anything like that, answer them honestly. Don't lie to them, or don't tell them, just be quiet, we don't talk about those things. That's exactly what will turn a child to the streets or to the internet to find out answers, because they will look for answers. You, as a parent, be the one that the child knows they can talk to and ask questions. If a child will value their body and understand the value of their bodies and those of the opposite sex as well, they will honor it. They will learn to honor themselves and not allow themselves to be contaminated and abused, but they will also honor others around them, and be ready for a very happy, beautiful marriage later on, full of joy and pleasure. I think I'm under the water already. Just an encouragement to grandparents. If you are a grandparent, I am a grandparent. If you carry regrets, I don't know if there are grandparents as a grandparent. If you carry a lot of regrets about raising children, you don't have little ones anymore, you can speak into the lives of the little ones that are in your life anywhere. They may not be in your house, but you can still. So if you really feel sad about how you raised your children, or in any areas, the best thing to do is to sit at Jesus' feet and learn from him. Talk to him about it, receive forgiveness, repent, and receive healing from him, and then freely go and talk to your son or daughter. Specifically, tell them what you feel like you did wrong, and tell them how you now wish that you had done it. Tell them you wish you had done it like this, rather. How they respond is up to them, but you open the door to restore relationships. In conclusion, Matthew 25:34, then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, come ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. That is what we are living for. That's what we're living for. And then the people will say, why? What did we do? And Jesus will say, and the king shall answer and say unto them, verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these, my brethren, you have done it unto me. And I believe we can put in the least of these are children. Inasmuch as you have done it unto one of the least of these little children, or say one of these little ones, you have done it unto me. So take courage. Young couples, have babies. Have big families. But raise them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. It's worth it. It's worth it. It will be worth it in the end.